Have you ever just looked at a business and thought, I wonder what it would actually take for me to run a business like that? Hi guys, welcome to Mbali Talks, your plug for all things side hustles, how you can make money online, and just generally how you can gain a bit of financial freedom for yourself. If you're new to Mbali Talks, welcome. Please don't be shy to join the Mbali Talks community by just hitting the subscribe button below. And if you've been with us since day one, hi, thank you so very much for coming back. You guys are the reason this channel actually stays alive. So without wasting any more of your time, let's get right into it. In today's video, I am actually spilling the tea because I want to share with you guys my honest review of the top 10 businesses that I've ever tried out, that I've ever started, some of which I'm actually still running, others I had to shut down, and also those that I just feel like you should never ever try in your life ever again. This video is great for somebody who either one, has never tried entrepreneurship and has just been wondering what kind of business they should actually start. Two, someone who's already in entrepreneurship but looking for a different basket for them to be able to put their eggs, which basically means you're looking for a new business that you can start outside the business that you already have. Or three, someone who's actually looking for a real solid business idea that they can actually do, one that would obviously require upfront investment, but one that is definitely going to be profitable because they are in the mission of trying to build a retirement fund and or their retirement plan. So the way I'm actually going to structure this video is that I'm going to start from number 1 to number 10, with number 1 being the least profitable business that I've ever tried. And I will also be rating the businesses on a scale of 1 to 10 to say which one do I think is still a good idea and which one do I think, you should actually just shelve and never even try out. So if you've been looking for a side hustles and or just another way to make money, stick around onto this video as I take you through the 10 side hustles that I've ever tried and how profitable they are and or the kinds of losses that I've actually made. The first business that we're going to talk about is that of a jewelry business. You can actually make this business by either one, creating your own jewelry so that you can obviously infuse your own style, your own taste, etc. Or number 2, you can actually buy jewelry online and resell it, whether it's in a shop or in your local market and or even just to your friends and family and or colleagues at work. This is a business that I tried a couple of years ago, which is actually linked to the second business that we're going to talk about. And the reason I did that business was because I was traveling to China quite a bit. And when I got there, my mind was blown. There was literally an entire shopping mall, guys, like literally steps and escalators of jewelry. And being a girl who has always loved her accessories, I was just so taken aback. I got so excited and I thought, you know what? Let me stock up on all these earrings, go back to Africa and sell them and make so much money. This seemed like a great idea at the time because obviously I was already in China. But quite honestly, with regards to actually selling the jewelry, the idea of trying to sell one earring at 50 Rand or 100 Rand per earring, also needing someone to pay for the courier in order for them to be able to get it to where they are, etc., was just more tedious than it was actually worth the time. In all honesty, I did not last in the jewelry business for two main reasons. First of all, I already had a business collaboration with another lady that was based in Swaziland who was actually selling her own jewelry at the time. So instead of me trying to compete with her, I just decided why not be her supplier instead so that I can just quickly get rid of the stock. Luckily for me, she wasn't the only person who wanted me to be their supplier, so that kind of gave me a lot of opportunities to get rid of the stock that I bought in China because I had literally bought a suitcase full of those earrings and accessories, etc. And then number 2, I just felt like between the marketing, trying to convince someone to buy more than one earring so that it makes sense for them to pay for the delivery just seemed a bit tedious for my liking. So for this business, if you want to start it, I just feel like it's one of those businesses that you can start if you're willing to consistently go to markets every other weekend so that you can find people to always be buying. It's a cash flow based business. To try to sell jewelry online unless you're a big brand is not something that I would advise, to be quite honest. And as a result, for this business, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. The second business that I ever did was one that is actually linked to the first business that I talk about, where I was actually trying to be a supplier for people. This is basically you trying to be either a runner and or a sourcer of people's products for their own businesses. Now, I feel like this business is great for someone who literally does not have anything else that they are doing, because It requires you to take your time and your effort to go into the different shops and or maybe even online platforms to find products for people, advertise them on your own platforms, and then sell to those people at stock prices. Something almost similar to how the Chinese and the Indians run it. Now, the problem is, if you're a startup runner, it means you do not have a lot of resources to play with, which means you need to be the one who's physically taking your time to go and buy these products, maybe mark up to someone and charge them a rate for the products that they've bought. For example, you may find that a runner is going to charge you 20% of 3,000 Rand because that's the cost of your stock. So they're only going to be making that 20% out of the total money that you as a client are going to spend on them to go and find those products. For me, it just did not seem like a great idea. And the only reason I actually got into that business was because when I was in China, I bought a lot of accessories. I bought a lot of handbags as well as hair, which is actually another business that we're going to talk about. So by the time I got back home, I had an overload of the stock, which then I decided to sell sort of like a supplier to people that were already running those kinds of businesses. From that point of view, I felt like it was a business that you could actually make work. The only problem was that then COVID hit, the pandemic happened, then suddenly I was not able to travel to China, which meant the business did not have any sustainability, which is why I had to let it go. So for that business, I would advise that if you want to start it, make sure you're somebody who's just trying to start out in entrepreneurship. You're still trying to learn how it is to run your own business. So you're willing to physically take the time to go into different shops. Not only will that help you to create contacts with the different shop owners as well as the suppliers, but it will also teach you the kinds of things that most customers actually want, so that the day you actually start your own bag business or clothing business or jewelry business, you know exactly what to get that you know is going to be profitable. But personally, for me, that kind of business, I would give it a 2 out of 10 for someone who actually has a full-time job but is looking for a side hustle. I would probably not look into that business because, again, I feel like it would only work if you have the time and effort to go into the different shops, finding the different products for different people. The next business that I did is easily still one of my favorite businesses. As mentioned in a previous video, it's a business that I have been running but more on the DL, and it's only now this year where I'm actually going to take it more serious and go back on a more full-time basis. This is for you to start a wig and hair business. Now, with the wig and hair business, if it's something that you're interested in, I have 2 videos. One that actually shares free vendor list of where you can actually try to source your hair if you're someone who's actually looking to start that business. And number 2, in the video that I spoke about the businesses, I actually go more in depth into the kind of business, what you can expect, how you can actually run it in order for it to be profitable. So personally for me, the hair business is still a very good idea. I feel like there's just been so many changes in the industry. First of all, I feel like it has become very easy for you to find a supplier of good quality, affordable hair. Honestly, guys, we cannot all be selling hair that's charging at 12,000 Rand, because I feel like for you to be able to sell that kind of hair, you need to have invested a lot of time and money learning the business, traveling to Vietnam, maybe to China, to go and sample the different hair types. But if you don't have that kind of money to put up front as an investment for your business, I just feel like it's become much easier right now to be able to find suppliers online, get the goods to South Africa, not pay a lot of customs, and still be able to start your business. When it comes to the wig business, it's basically a numbers game, which basically means the more hair you sell, the more likely your business is going to be profitable. So again, if you're starting out in this business and you don't have a lot of capital to put up front, but you just want to learn the industry before you can go big, my advice for you is to stock up on hair that is good on quality but cheap on price. There's lots of platforms, like I suggested in that video, that you're going to find where you can look for these places so that the pricing of your hair is not too high. Say maybe your hair is anything between 1,000 Rand all the way to 3,000 Rand. Try to cap it between that as a way for you to obviously get in customers into your business. And over time, you're going to realize that as you continue selling this quality hair that you have at affordable prices, there will be people that are going to start requesting for the more premium style type of hair, which then you would then invest money to be able to purchase so that you can charge that hair at an even higher price. So for the wig and hair business, I would give it a solid 7.5 with regards to it being profitable, with regards to barriers to entry being low in the market, and also with it just being a business that I still feel like will always be in style no matter what, so long as you invest your time and effort into consistently learning more about the business so that you consistently provide your clients with the best quality hair. The next business that I've ever tried is actually something that was also in line with me just trying to be a supplier, more than a person who was trying to sell the products on a one-on-one basis. This is a business that I still genuinely believe in. Unfortunately, because I'm a serial entrepreneur, which is something you guys have probably heard me say so many times, I usually find myself doing so many things at the same time, and sometimes I must weigh if the profitability of the business versus the energy that it takes in order for me to be able to start it from scratch actually makes sense compared to all the other businesses that I'm actually running. So this is not a business that I lasted long in, but it's still a business that I would recommend, especially for someone who is actually starting out, trying to find a side hustle, something that will not take a lot of money for you to be able to start. This is the soap supply business, which is basically you can either be buying the soaps on an individual basis and trying to sell them one from your house, or you can actually create hampers that you can sell to other people by putting in various soaps, whether it's your dishwasher kind of soap, whether it's something that is like pine gel that you can use in the house. Apparently, people feel like pine gel makes the house smell nice. We have different tastes, so I won't say much about that. But I did notice that when I was doing this business, it was one of the products that was actually high selling. You can do something that's like a fabric softener. There's just so many things that you can put into your packaging so that you can sell that as a hamper. I remember that when I was actually selling the soaps at the time, I was using soaps that are generally like the following soaps that I'm going to suggest. They were not the exact product, but they worked in similar ways. A dishwashing liquid, a handy type of liquid, the pine gel, a fabric softener, a liquid that cleans your oven. And if I'm being honest, this was one of the best liquids that I've ever found to actually clean my oven. The only problem with it, which is why I don't use it in my house anymore, is the fact that I obviously was buying it in bulk at the time, and I couldn't be able to go back to that shop every time just to buy that one item, because the shop is a bit out of the way in order for one to get there. So it quite honestly makes sense for you to go there if you're somebody who's going into the business. There's two places where I would suggest. Unfortunately for me, I don't remember the names of the companies, but I can tell you where you can find them. The first one is actually in Edenvale. It's literally sort of like in the industrial side of Edenvale, but it's not far from the road. I honestly feel like they were the best suppliers of soap, and also their pricing was actually very reasonable. They also supplied the empty plastic bottles that you're more likely to use in order for you to carry your product. Not only that, they also did sell the product in high quantities. For example, I used to buy a 20 to 25 liter and then empty it into the different containers. And I know that sounds like a bit of a job, but it was just cheaper to buy in bigger bulk than to buy the single units. However, even if you were to buy the single units and try to put them together in a hamper, you would still make a great profit margin. So it's definitely one of the businesses that I would advise. The second place where I used to source the soap is actually between Marlborough and Wynberg in Johannesburg. Somewhere along those factories that are overlooking the Grayston Drive. I know that there used to be a soap manufacturing company there. I'm not sure if they're still there, because this is a business I actually did in 2017, and I did it for a couple of months before I decided it wasn't something that I actually wanted to be interested in. But again, I feel like it's one of those businesses that you can either run on a one-on-one basis where you're selling single products, or you can actually use them to source for even bigger businesses. Like if you want to start a cleaning company, you can buy from them. Or you actually want to start a proper cleaning supplies business where now you're going to go into tendering, etc. I just felt like their price margins were reasonable at the time, and they also allowed the business owner, which would basically be you and I, to actually also be able to make a bit of a profit from their products. So for this business, I'm actually going to give it a 6 out of 10. And the reason I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 instead maybe of a 7 or an 8 is the fact that whether you like it or not, you will need to invest time in order for you to find your clients, and or also just to be able to grow the business. Plus, there's the work that is involved of you needing to go and shop and supply, and obviously have storage where you're going to keep your goods if you're somebody who wants to avoid the cost of actually paying rental. But I just feel like it's one of those businesses that you can start that are actually still profitable. The next business is actually a business that I'm still actively involved in, that I still believe in, and one that I feel like is still one of the easiest businesses for you to actually start. This is content creation. Guys, content creation is wide. It is vast. Like literally, there's so many things that you can do under content creation. You can actually either be an actual influencer and work with brand sponsorships, or you can be someone that creates vlogs and or videos for people to follow every day, which will lead automatically to you being able to get these brand sponsorships. You can either join a platform just like one of the platforms that I'm on, whether it's the Salt, whether it's Humans, whether it's in the Hash, that you can use for you to be able to apply to jobs where customers have actually posted these jobs to say these are the kind of content creators they're looking for, and therefore you apply to those platforms. You can also decide to be something that I am actually also advocating for currently, because I feel like it's a big growing trend. This is for you to become a UGC content creator where all the content that you create is never going to be used by you, but you're basically going to be creating content to sell to the businesses that are paying you so that they can post it on their own social media platforms, etc. There's just so many things that you can do under content creation. I feel like with platforms just like TikTok, content creation has become a whole lot more easier. The opportunity for you to be discovered by brands and businesses in order for you to collaborate with them has literally gone up by 10 as compared to what it was when we just had Instagram on its own. To a point where even now, just at the risk of sounding a bit biased, I feel like Instagram has kind of taken a back seat compared to TikTok with regards to the content that people are willing to create. And I actually read someone else's post the other day where they said the reason why they've decided to take their TikTok creation more serious is that on TikTok, nobody judges you. You could literally be creating content about anything. If your content is funny, if your content is engaging, if your content is teaching people and sharing valuable information on TikTok, you are bound to make it. And the minute you make it on TikTok, the more brands are going to want to be talking to you. I'm not saying ignore your Instagram efforts and or your Twitter or Facebook efforts, but I'm just saying that content creation has been opened up even wider. There's now new ways for us to be able to take advantage of the content creation space in order for us to make money. Some of the work that I've actually worked on with content creation, whether it was with Nivea or it was with Checker 60 or it was with the other brands that I've actually worked on, I've made anything between 500 all the way to 20,000 Rand per post. Can you imagine just sitting in my house being able to make those bits and pieces of money that I can actually put together for me to be able to make a living? And for me, this is literally like a side hustle because I do have other things that are more solid that I actually run. But if you're someone who feels like you're sociable, you like lifestyle and fashion content or beauty content, then definitely going into content creation is one of the businesses that I would advise. And for that, I'm actually going to give content creation a 7.5 out of 10 score because even though it's one of the easiest businesses for you to actually start, I do feel like you then have to take the time to invest in you either buying the products that you want to review and or the clothes that you actually want to use just as a way for you to invest in the business. But I feel like if you're buying products and clothes that you would have already bought anyway, in order for you to create content, it's a better investment into your business upfront so that you can get recognized. So it's definitely the businesses that I would advise for someone who is still looking for a business to start, especially if you want to work from home, especially if you don't want to do a lot of public interaction with people, because selling products, unlike doing content creation, is going to find you having to talk with people every other day. But when it comes to content creation, it's literally you and the brand and or even people online, which quite honestly are not people that are necessarily inquiring from you, but will require you obviously to engage with them so that you can grow your social media pages in a way that gets them to be recognizable. The next business that I've actually tried, which I still do sometimes, but it's not a business that I've ever really invested a lot of effort in, but I only do it because it's in line with a lot of the other things that I do, including being on a platform just like YouTube. This is consultation business. So basically what I do is consult for people that either want to start small businesses and or are just trying to figure out which is the next business that would actually be suitable and profitable for them based on the already existing businesses that they actually have. Consultation is the kind of business that I would advise you, no matter what qualification you have, for you to be able to position yourself as sort of like an expert in that qualification and or in that industry in a way that allows you to actually be able to teach other people on how to actually do it and or to get the most of that qualification. Whether you're an accountant, a tax officer, a law officer, whether you are a person who's running a business, or you even have something like a salon, there's always opportunities for you to make money out of consultation from the skills and the experience that you actually have. If you're somebody who is already in a certain industry, just like I am, running many businesses at the same time, and then you're able to share that knowledge of how someone can start a clothing business or an Airbnb business or a wig business, then you can obviously use that skill to charge people on an hourly basis for you to be able to share your knowledge. If you want to take your consultation business a step further, which is something that I have not been able to do because it's not necessarily up my alley, but you can actually go ahead and create a course with it that you can actually host on platforms just like Skillshare, Upwork, etc. for people to be able to buy that course and be able to learn consistently over time just from that one course. But I just feel like Consultation is one of the easiest businesses that you can start. It does not require you to go out of your house. You can literally do it working from home, so long as you're able to set up the different funnels of how people are actually going to be able to make you money with your consultation skills. So for the consultation business, I'm actually going to give it an 8 out of 10, simply because I feel like it's a business that you don't need to learn anything new for, because it's more likely a business that you're going to base on a skill and or a qualification that you already have. Not only that, it's a work from home business, which for me is usually just a bonus, because there's a lot of us who are still trying to balance life as well as work. So if you can get business opportunities that don't require you to wake up every day to go into a 9 to 5, then definitely Consultation is one of those businesses. The next business is actually a business which I feel like is the one that actually put me on the map, because I always used to tell people that this is what I am publicly known for, even though there were other businesses that I was running. But a lot of the other businesses were quiet, underground types of businesses that you could do without ever really interacting with other people. Yet this particular business is the one that gave me a lot of public attention. This is actually my clothing business, which I started at the beginning of my journey as an entrepreneur, which was basically in 2016. I named this business Fashion Couture, and it was actually a business that used to make clothes for women from scratch, which basically means I had to invest the time and the effort for me to learn the kind of fashion that is currently trending, the kind of styles that women are wearing, learn how to do sizing, how to do cutting, etc. This was my business for the longest time. If you've been following me for so many years, you're going to know that I was the lady who was known as the FDC lady for many, many years. However, in the year 2023, I had to actually shut down my business because, again, it was now getting to a point where I felt it had hit the ceiling. But if you're somebody who is starting out in entrepreneurship, the clothing business is still a business that I would recommend. In fact, in one of the recent videos that I did about side hustles that you can start in order for you to make money as a beginner, clothing business is one of the businesses that I actually mentioned, because I feel like, unlike the time when I started, other things have actually become easier with you being able to run your business. What I liked about my clothing business is the fact that not only did it service individual people, but it actually had gotten to a point where I was now sort of like a manufacturer for other smaller brands that had started out just in the same way that I had started out. Not only that, I was now doing a bit of uniforms, overalls, etc., and supplying those kinds of things to companies, which quite honestly just said to me, this business does have potential if you're somebody who is willing to continue investing the time and the effort. And if I'm being honest with you, the clothing business is one that will require you to have an upfront investment if you're somebody who wants to go into the manufacturing space the same way that I was. From buying machinery to hiring people to having a place where you're paying rental for those people to actually work. However, the easier way for you to be able to go into the clothing business, if you're somebody who's interested in that, is just for you to find a couple of Chinese suppliers, whether online or physically, that you can actually buy from and then go back and resell, whether it's in your town, etc. It's also become easier for you to advertise your clothes, whether on Instagram and or especially on TikTok, because being able to create the videos that people are willing to watch of you changing the clothes, styling the different clothes that you actually sell, is what will gain you traction, and therefore is what is going to bring a lot of your customers in, making it easily accessible for you to actually grow your business. With that said, I would actually give the clothing business a 7 out of 10, because if you're trying to start it from scratch to being a manufacturer, there's so many things that you need to learn with regards to the kinds of fabric, styles, sizing, running a business that involves hiring other people, having a space, etc. But if you want to do it the easier way, it does generally become a bit more than just a 7 out of 10. In fact, I'll probably give it a 9 out of 10 if that's the route that you're taking. The next business is literally the only business that I will always keep recommending over and over again. This is for you to do Airbnb. There's two ways for you to be able to do Airbnb. Either you're actually leasing out a room in your own house, or you get an apartment, finish it, and actually put it up on Airbnb. I will not dwell a lot on this business, but I will say that on average, currently, people that are running Airbnbs, even in their own houses, are making an average of 26,000 Rand per month. Trust me, this is a lot of money. There's literally someone out there who's getting paid that exact same money at work. Can you imagine if that person were to also run an Airbnb and then start earning double of that money? In fact, with that money, as you're running that Airbnb in your house, it's money that would allow you the ability to be able to actually rent out another apartment for you to run Airbnb. And even on the months where your Airbnb in the separate apartment is not really working out, this money would try to be able to balance you because there's no upfront investment that you need to make in order for you to run Airbnb in your own house. Literally, the only thing you're going to have to do is to make sure that you're providing a clean space and obviously take a couple of pictures that are actually outstanding. But this is an easy business to start, does not require upfront investment if you don't want to invest in it. And again, it's just one of those passive ways for you to be able to make money online. So I'm actually going to give it a solid 10 out of 10. The next business that I've actually started and I'm actually still doing is this right here, which is basically having your own YouTube channel. I couldn't have been able to tell myself what was going to happen to me when I started a YouTube channel, guys. But even though there were a lot of other trending niches at the time when I started, like I could have easily gone into beauty, fashion, being a vlogger, etc. But teaching other people and helping them to actually be able to make money online, to find financial freedom, to being able to secure remote work from home jobs has been one of the biggest blessings of my life. Literally, for me, if I could, I would actually go full-time into a consultation business because I do enjoy seeing other people's dreams come alive. I do enjoy actually seeing us, people that are from this side of the world, actually being able to tap into opportunities that seemed way far ahead of us because we were looking at them literally online and or even on TV. But being able to have a YouTube channel has made sure that I'm able to take those opportunities from around the world, package them and put them together in every video that I do so that people just like yourselves can actually be able to tap into those opportunities. And those that have actually tapped into these opportunities, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's trying to find a remote job online, whether it's the many websites that I recommend for you to actually use as a side hustle, your rev, your user interviews, etc. Those that have taken time to actually delve into those platforms have actually been able to see the results, guys. So that will always feel like just a blessing to me, for me to be able to participate in that part of humanity. So now that we've gotten all the emotions out of the way, definitely having a YouTube channel is one of the businesses that I would easily still recommend because I feel like just like the business where you're able to then create a course and put it online, all the YouTube videos that you'll ever create, they will make you money literally from the first day that you post them all the way to the day that you actually ever stop being on YouTube. Because even videos that I made 3-4 years ago are actually videos that are still paying me money even now. Every time someone watches that video, it kind of regenerates the interest from other people on the platform and encourages YouTube to actually push that video up so that it can get even more views and therefore consistently make me money. Literally in the months where I find myself actually not being consistent with my YouTube channel for whatever reason, I make anything between 1.5 to 2.5 just from people consistently watching my videos. And then in the months where I'm actually serious and I'm taking this brand and I'm really pushing and I'm being consistent, posting every other 2-3 days, I do see the difference. I do see myself actually making all the way up to 12,000 Rand on a monthly basis. So again, this is a perpetual business that I just feel like is the gift that keeps on giving. So for this business, I'm actually going to give it an 8 out of 10. And the only reason I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 is the fact that whether you like it or not, in order for your YouTube channel to thrive, you will need to set aside time to do videos just like I do, to edit, to hire other people to do your thumbnails and or even maybe your editing for you. But if you're starting out, there's so many apps that you can use in order for you to be able to edit your videos. There's CapCut, there's InShot that I would actually recommend. There's even the YouTube studio itself. So maybe in the beginning, you wouldn't necessarily have to pay people. But over time, with the money that you would be making from YouTube, you would then see the reason to reinvest that money into the business in order for it to grow. Last but not least, the number 10 business that I've actually started, which I would still recommend, is for you to go into Ubers. Everybody knows what an Uber is. What I like about the Uber business is the fact that, like a lot of other technologically based businesses, they have actually innovated over time, because when I actually started Uber, there were certain cars that were never allowed on the platform. However, nowadays you do find some of those cars already working on the platform, which says to me the company that runs Uber actually realized the benefits of trying to widen the market and therefore making it easier for people like you and I to actually join the business, because that kind of reduced the barriers to entry. Nowadays, you can literally just spend between 60,000 to 150,000 to buy a car that you can put onto their platform and actually use it to make money for yourself on an everyday basis. You can either decide to start it out on your own. If you're somebody who actually has a work from home job and a car, you can register your own car and actually be an Uber driver for that car in between your work. Or you can buy a smaller car give it to somebody else for them to be able to be your Uber driver, and then obviously monitor their performance based on the app, because as the person that actually runs the business, you are the one who gets to see the statistics and the trips and how much the trips have actually made. So there's no way that that person can cheat you and or maybe rob you out of the money for that day. Number 3, which is something that a lot of people are actually doing, this is for you to collaborate with the driver that you've actually hired to say, if they pay you a certain specific amount, for you to actually be able to make a profit and also pay the car. Once the car has been paid off, you're actually then going to give it to that Uber driver, because in retrospect, it's basically the Uber driver that works to make sure that the car is paid off. A lot of the Uber drivers are actually willing to take up that model because they see the benefit of eventually owning the car. So they don't see the reason why they should take a longer time to help you pay it off, which is why you find that as an Uber business owner, it's easy for you to make the money because the driver is going to be honest and diligent in making sure he delivers on his end of the bargain. But I just feel like it's one of those businesses that I would still actively recommend, especially because I feel like it's one of those businesses that do not require you to wake up every day to go and find out if it's working or not. Literally, your car stays with your driver if you have a driver. The only time you guys interact is if the car needs a service and or maybe something untoward has happened to the car, which is common with cars. Even you yourself can easily get your car into that kind of a situation. But there's just so little barriers to entry. And secondly, it's very rare for those instances to happen. So literally, your Uber business could run for a good 8 to 12 months without any glitch. And in those 8 to 12 months, you would still be getting the money of you actually being able to run that business. So I'm actually going to give the Uber business a 9 out of 10. And the only reason it's not getting 10 out of 10 is just basically because of those nitty-gritties that I just spoke about that you may encounter along the way. But because they are not very common, then for me, it sits at a 9 out of 10. And with all that said, I've actually come to the end of this video. I do hope that you guys have actually enjoyed hearing me talk about all the amazing businesses that I've actually ever tried, the kinds of businesses that I would still recommend for you to try out, and those businesses that are a big no-no in my books, just based on the fact that they're either not as profitable and or they require a lot of work for you to be able to start, which is quite honestly not the thing that I like to do. Because if there's anything that you know about me, is the fact that because I do a lot of things, I do not find myself being able to take on businesses that require a lot of time and investment upfront, because then I feel like it'll take my time and brain matter away from all the other projects that I could potentially be doing. However, some of these businesses are great for people that are literally starting out in the entrepreneurial space. Also, if you're somebody who actually has a bit more money to use as an upfront investment, some of these businesses are great ideas, like the Uber, the Airbnb, the wig business, the clothing business, etc. So if you found yourself on this part of the video, it must mean that you find this video valuable. Please do reward me for all the work that has gone into it by just hitting the like button. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button to join the Mali Talks community, I really don't know what you're doing. Please don't be shy. I promise you it's absolutely free. Just tap into that subscribe button in order for you to make sure that you never miss out on any of the content that happens here on Mali Talks. Otherwise, I wish you guys all the best in your efforts for you to be able to make money online and gain yourself a bit of financial freedom. I'm going to see you in the next Mali Talks video. Cheers.